In today's video, which is brought to you by G66 UK, which is your place to get the FM3 Turbo, place to get the FM9 Turbo and the Axe-Fx 3. You don't have a wait list and yeah, no import charges for UK customers. I got asked on a video if I would take a look at kind of Mateus Asato type tones. So I've spent some time putting this together and looked through some rig rundowns and found some bits and pieces that I could find. The thing with Mateus is he tends to be a bit of a clean amp person, I think, and using kind of drives and stacking them and stuff. Anyway, compressor seems to always be on his board. I've used a dynamic comp here because that's kind of a Ross-based compressor, I think. I've got the mix down at 60.6%, but everything else is basically standard. The Wampler Ego, I believe, looking online, is somewhat Ross-based. Anyway, so the compressor first in the chain, then going into a Blues OD. One of the pedals that he uses sometimes is the breakers from Bondi Effects. I'm going to guess that's Blues breaker based, right? I'm going to use the gain at about 9. Tone, I backed off a little bit to 3.94, experiment with that, and level just at 5. And then delay, he uses an Echoplex, but with the settings up relatively high. I think the highest that an Echoplex can go is 750 milliseconds. I've got this set to 650, but I've also set a left-right time ratio so that we get a little bit of separation. Okay, and then also he has on occasion used a Nunabur reverb, but anyway, also he's used a Strymon Flint on the 80s setting, which I believe is the Hall. So I've set the quality here fairly high and then the time about 4.5 seconds, sort of just middle of the road-ish settings, and the mix I got at 20%. You could adjust that to taste, but that... Anyway, so I'm typically using, with my single coil guitar, neck or 4th position for most of this stuff. Right, amp-wise, I've decided to use the Sir Badger 30 because there is a video and a tour where he was playing with Tori Kelly, which he did use the Sir Badger for a while, and I can copy the settings from that. So bass is just below 5, mids and treble are about 5. The master volume is labeled differently on the real amp itself, so this is set at 4 and then the gain is set at 4. If you look on the forum, Cliff actually explains how he's labeled those. So Sir Badger is somewhat Marshally, I think. Other things, amps that he's used, Bogner Shivas, I think we've got one of those in here, but the Sir Badger, because I can copy those settings exactly, it seems best. Then Sir Badger cab is using a V30. So I used the 4x12 Friedman and just moved the mic off cone a bit so that we're not going too dark, but so that's kind of my scene 1, which is kind of just that boosted edge of breakup type thing. Scene 2, I decided to kick on a bit of a fatter sounding drive, which is the Jan Ray, which Mateus Asato has had one. I've got the gain a bit higher than he has his set. I don't know if the Mateus Asato version of the Jan Ray had too many tweaks. But yeah, bass just below 5, treble at 5. Level here, I've got a bit higher than him as well, about 4.25, but just that Jan Ray is a bit fatter. So you can do that thing. Then I think the real key to some of this stuff, for the lead, I'm stacking the Blues OD into the Jan Ray. But it still retains a load of that touch sensitivity. So you can still do all the things. Then here's the real key to what's going on with some of this stuff. You can find that he's often got a trem on, particularly on the Strymon Flint, and he has his settings fairly low. I think we're going here for more of like a Fender Rhodes type vibe, more so than like the Dick Dale thing. So depth about halfway and the rate a little bit slow. So you could do that sort of thing with the trem, and I think that is probably, for me, fairly evocative of the sort of thing that Mateus, in my mind, kind of does really, really well. That kind of straddling that edge of breakup. Just right on that. Place where if you dig in you get a bit of stuff happening, but when you're not digging in you just get loads of touch sensitivity. Now he has also dabbled in some kind of higher gain tones, and for this I decided to switch over to the Soldano lead channel. Kind of got things, the presence set relatively low, the depth set a bit higher, and then tone stack in the middle kind of, and gain a bit lower as well. But kind of this is going for that sort of more 80s shred type tone that Mateus has kind of, you know, let out of the bag a little bit more recently. You know, can do that really, really shreddy thing. What I've noticed is that some of the kind of, yeah, the more 80s stuff of his is a little bit, well, less mid-focus. But, you know, really effortless to play, that sort of thing. So yeah, I give that a go. I'll drop it into the Gumroad folder. I think that could get you in the ballpark, and at least, even if it doesn't sound exactly like Mateus Asato, by copying bits and pieces of his rigs, we can at least get some really cool tones out of it. So I'll drop that into the Gumroad folder. Mateus is going to be the name of that. A few scenes, a few different bits and pieces to try. I'll catch you in another video soon, and thank you for stopping by.